Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jan Washington. This is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. I would like to extend my gratitude in you listening to this podcast. It means everything to me, and I hope it is clear that this subject matter is so important to me. I care about our people, our future, and making a positive change in this nation.
If you have been thinking about starting a podcast or your current podcast needs a little help, we have the solution for you. Today's show is brought to you by Idea to Launch Academy, the only multicultural podcast academy that to date has helped launch over 500 podcasts. Anyone can launch a podcast, but it takes work and a solid foundation to have profitable and successful podcasts that stand out from the rest. You can Google how to start a podcast and publish it, but then crickets. Who's going to listen? Carla Ramirez, the CEO and founder of Idea to Launch, has put together a course that will help you take your podcast from idea to one launch in 30 days with her proven 5 phase formula that helped her reach over 100,000 downloads in less than a year without social media presence and any tech background. You learn how to come up and refine your podcast topic, artwork, recording, editing, marketing, and so much more. Also, when you are part of the course, you become a part of the community of podcasters that all help and inspire each other. Use the link in our description to enroll in the Launch Your Podcast in 30 Days 2.0. Let them know we sent you and get the Instagram 101 crash course free. Enrollment is now open.
And welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. Today we have a special guest, Taye Uhuru. He is a hip hop artist, author, and host of Taye Speaks, which is available on YouTube. Taye has graciously agreed to share his travels and information about his new book. Really exciting. Welcome to the show, Taye.
Peace and blessings, family. Thank you so much, Queen, for allowing me to come on your platform. I truly appreciate you.
You're welcome. And so your page states that you have been to 70 countries and you've had the opportunity to volunteer and teach. Tell us what inspired you to do all this international traveling and give back.
Oh, okay. I mean, as far as traveling, that's something that started with my family. My mom, she used to drive the Greyhound. So when I was a kid, she would take me and my brothers and sisters to different cities. So that's when I got my first experiences traveling to different places and developing a love for different cultures and foods and, just seeing places outside of where we lived, getting a chance to go to places like Detroit and New York and Chicago and Cincinnati and different places like that. So once I was old enough to travel on my own, I continued to go to different cities and states and,
Okay.
discover new things. And then I started taking it to another level. In 2010, that's when I got my passport and I went to my first country. I went to Amsterdam. That's where I went.
Okay. So it started with Amsterdam.
Mhm.
And then when did you go into Africa? I know you talked about all the different countries in Africa. When did you get to Africa?
Okay, I believe I went to Africa maybe around 2013. So maybe like 3 years after I had got started. Because when I went to Europe, I actually knew people that was there. So I kind of started going to places where I knew people first.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so that's how it kind of worked out. But I've been to roughly 15, 20 African countries, something like that.
Okay. Nice. And then what was the most rewarding part of your travels? I guess all of your travels you didn't do volunteer, but I would love to hear about how what that experience was like with the orphanage and some of your volunteer work that you got to do when you were over in Africa.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think my first volunteering experience was in the Caribbean. I got a
Okay.
chance to study abroad. I was living in the Dominican Republic and I was going to college there.
Okay.
During the daytime, and then in the afternoons and on the weekends, we would go to orphanage. So the orphanages that they have, they're like independently run. They're not run by the government. So it was like a lady, she just was taking kids in off the street. People may drop their kids off and never see their parents or know who they are. So we would donate money, we would donate school supplies, we would help clean the orphanage out. I did tutoring. I would bring my laptop up there, kind of teach the kids different things and let them play games. They never
Okay.
had used a computer before. So it was fun and it was exciting. It was humbling. Met some real cool people. But like I said, I was volunteering, so I just happened to know somebody that actually worked at the orphanage. So this wasn't a part of my program, but it's just was something that I
Okay.
was doing additionally. And as I continued to travel, I volunteered and donated all across the world, helping people in Haiti, the Philippines, South Africa, Ghana, Cape Verde, and
Hmm.
a few other places as well.
Did you encounter any resistance or certain attitudes from the native people there while you were traveling internationally?
Which place you talking about?
Well, I guess like Africa, for example,
Hmm.
any negative experience or resistance in any certain way or
No, not really. No, all of
okay.
my experiences with African people have been great experiences
Hmm.
abroad. Even in America, I mean, you hear it all the time. Africans don't like black people, but when
You
you
do
watch
hear
the
that.
news, right, right. But when you watch the news and you see the things you see on TV, it's usually not an African person that's doing these things to us, that's choking us to death or shooting us 50 times. I never met a black American that say, I got robbed by some Africans, or I got jumped by some Africans, or some Africans shot my house up, or some Africans, did anything to me. Most Africans that do come here, they do pretty good. They may start businesses or they may go to college, for the most
Right.
part, but I don't think that they're really violent people. So that's like a misconception that we have. So, I started doing tours and I take Black Americans to different countries in Africa so they can experience the same thing. They can experience that hospitality. They can
Hmm.
experience being welcome. And a lot of African countries have publicly stated, they didn't like the things that were going on in America. And they've invited Black Americans to move to Africa. They offer business opportunities, citizenship, land, so many things. So,
Right. And so you've mentioned that. So let's talk about that. Your tours to Africa. And it's called Camp Cleveland Educational Tours. Is that
well, they just educational tours. Camp Cleveland, that's my social media handle. So some people know me as Camp Cleveland.
oh,
So
okay. I didn't know if that was a part of the name of your
yeah, yeah. So,
program.
that is like my name, my nickname or whatever. I'm from Cleveland, so I'm just representing for my city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, right.
But so
Uh
that's like one
mhm.
thing for you just going over to the Dominican Republic and then deciding that, hey, I'm going to organize a whole situation of taking people over there. How did that come about?
I mean, like I said, with Africa, is just so many misconceptions. Like people will go to the Dominican Republic, they'll go to the
Right.
Caribbean, they'll go to Mexico, they'll go to Thailand, they'll go to Europe. But when it's come to Africa, it's almost like, well, I don't want to die, I don't want to get sick, I don't want to get Ebola, I don't want to get kidnapped. Like they think the
Mm,
worst things in the world, but it's really not a substantial amount of evidence that supports that. So that's why the tours is definitely needed, just from that perspective, just the fear perspective, but
okay.
also from historical perspectives. Like, each country in Africa is different, so we generalize it. So say, for example, if you go to Haiti, you go to Jamaica, you go to Mexico, you go to Canada, or even if you go to St. Louis, then you go to LA and you go to New York, these places are totally different. The people look different, dress different,
Mm,
talk different, different cultures. So Africa is far more complex than that. But if we see something on the news, we may see a war in Nigeria, but we'll say
right.
it's a war in Africa. You get what I'm saying? Or it's a disease in Africa, or it's a problem in Africa, instead of identifying that specific country. So the tours just help give people a better understanding of, the different experiences that they may have. So, like, we got a tour to Egypt. So that's
Hmm.
kind of focusing on ancient African history, 5,000, 10,000, 1,000 years ago. You see some of the greatest structures in the world ever built, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So, and they built by Black people, so that's a uplifting experience for a lot of people, because in America, we kind of start with slavery and then we move forward. The Egyptians ain't even Black, they're not even African. If going by what we taught in America. But when you
Right.
get in so when you go to the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens, Hatshepsut's temple, Temple of Karnak, Temple of Luxor, you see black people on the walls. You see people with afros and braids, and
Mm-hmm.
it's no longer any question. So that's very empowering and it's very important. Then we go to Ghana. Ghana is totally different from Egypt. So, some people want to reconnect with that lost history. That they say we come from West Africa. So we learn about the transatlantic slave trade. We go to the slave dungeons, the
Mm-hmm.
slave ports, the door of no return. We
Mm-hmm.
learn about the Ashanti tribe, the Dinkra printing, the Kente cloth,
Oh,
and
wow.
we get a better understanding of what happened. So.
That's huge. And so, how long have you done these tours?
This
Or
been going on maybe for seems like about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now.
That's neat. And so, in addition to the tours, and you're also a hip hop artist, you also are an author. Your first book is the Afro Set Black Nationalist Party for Self Defense. And so, this is a historical piece. Tell us how or what inspired you to write about this particular organization and this part of history.
Again, it's something that started with my family. So my uncle, my mom's brother, he came up with the name the Afro Set. So
Okay.
Afro is synonymous with African. You may have heard Malcolm X use the term Afro American. That's what we were called before we were African. So the Afro Set, they were at the forefront of reintroducing Black Americans in the city of Cleveland to African history,
Mm.
African language, African music, African culture, African fashion. They taught people Swahili. That's an African language. They had classes. They were very educational. They practiced self-defense. They would go to the farms. They would do military drills. They would do target practice. They would train with the machetes and train with the sticks. They did a lot of stuff in the community. They had social programs like free breakfast, free lunch. They opened up a nursery school. They opened up a theater. They would do plays. They would do fashion shows, and they would
Mhm.
dress in African garments, African dashikis,
Mhm.
African head wraps and earrings and necklaces and stuff like that. They would have musical performances. They would play the African drums, different things like that.
Hmm. And so you, a part of your family was a member of the organization. So that's how you got your research going. And what other type of research did you do to prepare for the book? Because it looks like it's a big book. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. My uncle, he was the minister of information of the Afro Set. So he was a high ranking member of the Afro Set. He started it, but he didn't do it by himself. But he was more responsible for the newspaper. He was the editor of their newspaper. He was the photographer for the organization. So he would take the pictures. And back then they didn't have the digital camera. So you had to develop the pictures. He built the dark room. You had to,
okay.
dry the pictures and hang them and stuff like that. So it was a lot more work involved. They didn't have computers and things like that. And then also, like I said, they didn't have internet. So he was responsible for teaching a lot of people that African history. You know what I'm saying? So he was a
Hmm.
teacher as well. And he trained a lot of people in different things like that. So,
Nice. And then I'm curious to know more about your, I guess, hip hop. So you're also a hip hop artist, and I got a chance to check out some of your videos. I really do like the Black of the Berry song.
oh, okay.
That was really good. So,
Thank
how
you
long
so
have you
much.
been rapping? And tell us about that.
Man, I've been rapping probably since I was a kid. I started in elementary school, but I grew up on hip hop and music. I had older brothers and I had cousins that lived with us. And my dad was living with us. So it was usually like a house full of boys and men. So they played records, had house parties, so I was exposed to a lot of music at an early age where a lot of my friends, they wasn't allowed to listen to like NWA and groups
Mm-hmm.
like that. You know what I'm saying? So they had to wait till they got older. But that's something that I was raised on. And then, in elementary school, we used to write raps just for fun, just to make people laugh. But as I got older, and mature, I was able to, progress and develop my content and talk about things that were more noteworthy and
Mm-hmm.
political and conscious, so.
Right. And so, how has it been? I guess, especially going through uh COVID and not having opportunity to tour? I don't know if you're just independent or you tour around town, or like how do you get your music out there?
I think COVID has definitely had an effect, but I've still been creative. I've been writing more songs than ever. When the pandemic first started, I was actually living in Africa. So, I was staying in Johannesburg, that's in South Africa. I was staying in the art district called Maboneng. So it's like a very unique place. It's like a lot of artists that live in this area, like drummers, singers, dancers,
Okay.
producers, rappers, graffiti artists, anything you could think of that's artistic, people that make shoes and clothes. And a lot of them lived in my apartment building. So even though everything was kind of locked down, aside from the grocery stores, I was still able to write, I was still able to record, and I was able to shoot a music video. So, I have still been able to be creative. And, as an independent artist, I can put out music anytime I want to. I've been blessed and fortunate enough to work with artists and go to studios all over the world.
Oh, nice. Nice. And is your music available on SoundCloud, or where could someone find your music?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, so I have a website,
Okay.
campcleveland.org. So my
Okay.
music is on there, my book is on there, the educational tours to Africa is on there. I'm a genealogist, so I help people trace their roots. I help them find slave schedules,
Hmm.
marriage licenses, birth certificates, arrest records, death records, World War II draft cards, newspaper articles, all
Oh,
type of
wow.
things, to help them find out who their grandparents and great grandparents and great great grandparents was. So that's another service that I offer on my website. But my music, it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, because I got it all synced. So if you type in my name as an artist or you type in the song, better
Okay.
yet, you'll be able to find it.
Nice. And so another hat that you wear, in addition to the travels, the music, the book, is podcaster. So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, tell us about your podcast.
Okay, man, it's something that I just started. It's called Taye Speaks. I'm about 10 episodes in. Man, it's just something I've been wanting to do for a while because I've been going on a lot of other people's podcasts. I've been blessed with an opportunity to still be able to promote my book and what I'm
Hmm.
doing despite the pandemic. So now I want to give other people an opportunity to do the same thing. They are welcome to come on my platform. And it's usually regular people. It's not no celebrities on there, but it's some very,
Hmm.
very interesting people. And you'd be surprised, people that you would probably just walk by and not notice, they have some powerful stories. You know what I'm saying? I just did
True.
an interview today and I interviewed some guys in prison. So, it's a wide variety of people that you're going to meet and get to know. I interviewed a lady yesterday. I posted it today. She's been to over 100 countries. She's been to more countries than I have. So it's a
Oh, okay.
wide range of, guests that's on there.
That's cool. I just celebrated 1 year doing podcasting, so I always am just thrilled to hear other people's story of how they got
Wow.
started. What do you think about
Congratulations.
like thanks. And what do you think about the current climate of podcasting? I'm a part of like some podcast clubs and groups, and I think I saw you in some of the groups on some of the social medias. But there's so many
Mhm.
groups, and they talk about all these opportunities to, monetize and build and collaborate. I mean, it's just it's just an exciting time. What do you think about what's going on in podcasting?
I mean, it's like everything else. You got some people that's, doing it for the right reason, and some people want to make money, and some people they do such a good job that they deserve to be paid for their services. You know what I'm saying? Because like your podcast, you've been doing it for a year, you seasoned, you know what you're doing, you got great guests on your show. So I think you should be able to make money off of it because so many people are going to be interested in what you're doing and also the guests that you bringing on. So I think it's a good opportunity, especially with the pandemic. So
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, one day, I mean, that's definitely not the reason why I decided to get into it. I'm definitely not making no money.
right, right.
Maybe
But
one
it'll come
day.
though. It'll come
Yeah.
though. Right, right.
So, yeah. That's cool. And so that's just so exciting that all this traveling, and then you're just sharing how other people can go on the travels too. I think that's really unique about your story. not just I've done all this, but hey, you can come too, and I'll show you these, these different parts. Like they can choose what type of tour they want as far as the tours are concerned.
Yeah, they definitely have a choice. Right now we got about 7 countries. We're supposed to be adding 2 more, and I'm gonna continue to add more countries because, like I say, Africa has almost 60 different countries. So, that's not even a fraction of what Africa has to offer. It's just a very beautiful place. That's all I can say. The best beaches,
Hmm.
best people, the best looking people, the best food, the best culture. This is where life started at. So,
Right.
if you got a bucket list, Africa should definitely be on.
Okay. What about Cape Town? Is that, have you been there?
Yeah. Okay, so Cape Town is in South Africa. I lived in South Africa. Yeah, I know Cape Town real well. Cape Town real cool. Cape Town is like LA, but African. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, that's what I've heard. That kind of has like a high end kind of, nightlife and, all of that, right?
yeah, definitely. I mean,
Hmm.
I never met nobody that went to Cape Town that didn't like it. I mean, it's nothing to not like about it. It's beautiful. I'm telling you. And Cape Town was the first place I ever went in Africa. When I went to Cape Town in 2013. But back then, like, it wasn't as much available content about Africa, at least
Hmm.
positive content online. So if you Google anything for South Africa, it was rape, it was murder, it was disease, it was warfare, it was AIDS. So,
Hmm.
when I went out there, I had trouble finding things to give me a feel for what it would be. So when I got there, I was pretty much surprised. The streets were paved, people had Bentleys and BMWs and
Mm.
Benzes, people were skating, people were surfing, people were happy, people were beautiful. they don't they
Yeah.
don't show you how beautiful the people are, and especially in Cape Town you'll see some very, very beautiful people. And they was very friendly, everybody that I met, they was very welcoming. They was like, oh, you from America, welcome, we happy to have you. People invited me over their house, people cooked for me.
Oh,
It was
wow.
almost like a celebration.
Right. That's so cool. Yeah, definitely. I guess I never thought about traveling to Africa, but I mean, it really doesn't sound exciting, and I might have to put that on the bucket list. Yeah. Anything else you want the people to know?
No, I think we covered everything. I just want to say thank you again for letting me on your show, and thank everybody for tuning in. I mean, if y'all have any questions, even if you don't travel with me, if you need more information, you need statistics, you need reports, because sometimes that stuff is hard to find. Like I said, you just try to Google something right quick, like is Africa safe? Then
Right.
you know what you're gonna get. But I can give you sources that are concrete,
Mm.
sources like the United Nations or sources like the Department of State and Travel, and I can give you the link so you can get secure information about those types of things.
Okay, nice. And then your podcast again, it is on YouTube. Is it also out on Spotify and the other platforms or
Right now it's just on YouTube, but
okay.
I'm working on getting it on some other platforms as well.
Okay, for sure. And then the website, tell us one more time.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so my website is campcleveland.org, campcleveland.org, and I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube as Camp Cleveland, CAMP Cleveland.
Okay, great. Okay, and then that's where we can get the music, the book, and everything. I've got my book, y'all. So you guys get yours. I'm gonna put
Thank
the
you.
link out there. All right. Great. Well, I appreciate you sharing your story and your information. Let's support this brother, guys. I will have the link posted. All right. Take care.
All right, peace, Queen.
At this time, we are going to go ahead and conclude this episode. We do appreciate you listening. We do invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. The Gmail is wokebyaccident at gmail.com. And we are available on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Please go out and follow us, share, leave a review, tell a friend. And every time you listen, we greatly appreciate it. Thank you again and take care.